Happy lunch hour, gang. Okay, I'll give you an interesting video. Something that we're supposed to get from Mexico that we're not. How about that one? You can send us all the illegals they want, but something that they are under a contractual treaty to give us, they're failing. Again, here's the difference between a socialist leader in Obrador and a feckless leader in Biden. How do you like your orange juice? Have it with your breakfast? Hey, go to a bar and have a screwdriver. Like your mimosas on Sunday morning? Maybe not so much this year. Or at least if you get them, you're going to be paying through the freaking nose for it. I mean, you guys have probably already seen, go to the grocery store and buy orange juice. I mean, to buy store brand generic orange juice is like $5 a gallon around here. Okay. Damn good thing our cars don't run on orange juice. But we have a little problem down in South Texas in the Rio Grande Valley. There's no water. Texas is already under a emergency drought restrictions. Okay. And in that area, way down south, the southern tip of Texas, is the Lower Rio Grande Valley, where, just to give you an idea of what is grown down there, we are talking 27,000 acres that grows 9 million cartons of fresh grapefruit and fresh oranges, and then also produces another 5 million cartons of fruit juice. Okay? Now, I know when everybody thinks of oranges, they think of California and Florida, right? Just to give you this, 1/3 of our oranges in the United States come from this area in Texas. 27,000 acres, 1/3 of the oranges, 1/3 of the orange juice. Yeah, this is a little problem. Since 1992, we have had a treaty with Mexico whereby we would get water from the Rio Grande Valley there, or to pump into the Rio Grande Valley from Mexico. And of course, in exchange, we send more water down to Mexico from the Colorado River out, West Texas, New Mexico, Arizona area. Okay. Well, Mexico decided that, they're not going to agree with this treaty. They've sent about 30% of the water that they are contractually obligated to the Lower Rio Grande Valley. That's a problem. You are talking about millions upon millions, tens if not hundreds of millions of oranges and grapefruits that will not be grown this year for the lack of water. Now, mind you this, orange trees, grapefruit trees, basically any tree, is not an annual. It's a perennial. It comes back every year. If those trees don't get water, they die. So that means no oranges next year, or the next year, or the next year, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. So we look at a water issue that could increase the price of citrus by 50% easily. Okay. Now imagine paying $7.50 a gallon of orange juice. And I want you to think at the same time here, minimum wage, national, 7.25. Can you imagine working for an hour and not being able to afford a gallon of orange juice? If you want to think about how critical water is to all of us, to your preps, use this as an example. We know about the droughts in California that we had a couple of years ago. Hopefully they're past that. They got a lot of rain, a lot of snow this winter, unless idiot Gavin Newsom decided to pump all the fresh water out in the ocean again. We know about the droughts that hit the Midwest and the Great Plains here in the last couple of years. And ranchers basically had to sell off their cattle left and right, and therefore reduce their breeding stock to create more food. How much water do you have access to? I know you hear people say all the time, I've got cases and cases and cases of water. Now, I've told you guys many times over the last few years that while the Federal Emergency Management Association, FEMA, will tell you you need to have 1 gallon of water per person per day, that's for drinking, okay? What you need minimum to clean, cook, drink, etc., wash yourself, is 6 gallons a day. Access to. Now, sure, if you're smart, you will figure out how to recycle some of that water, whereby, okay, I can wash my body and then use that water to go water my gardens or whatever. You know, okay, fine, you know, wash off some sweat and some dirt, great, that'll go in the soil and it's fine. Wouldn't want to use the water that I just used to wash the dishes in, per se, to go water my gardens, because who knows what meat products are, and all of a sudden the next thing you know, you got vermin digging up your gardens. But how much water do you have access to? Have you given thought to that? Have you made the appropriate preparations to get water? Storing water is probably the most difficult thing that you can do, because it's heavy. I mean, 1 gallon of water weighs about almost 8 pounds. Okay. So if you had it in, I don't know, IBC totes, 250, 300 gallons of water, think about it. 1 IBC tote at 6 gallons of water a day is enough for 1 person for 40 days. If you have a family of 4, 1 IBC tote is enough water for your family for 10 days. Now, maybe you can stretch that out a little bit and only bathe on Saturdays, you know, the Old West movies. But storing water is something that you need to figure out. Watering your crops is something you need to figure out. You're going to come to a point, if this keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and no, I'm not talking about the climate change bullshit, okay? If this gets worse and worse and worse, with the waters being contaminated, or there just not being any water, having a drought, Mother Nature has her say in the matter, what's more important to you? Growing your food or washing your pits? Okay? You're still going to need to cook. You're still going to need to practice sanitation. You're still going to need to keep yourself hydrated. There's no questions whatsoever about it. But where is your water coming from? I mean, fortunately for me, I'm lucky. I dug a pond, so I've got water storage there. I live close to a lake. There's water there. And I've got access to my well, even if the power goes out. So I've got water there. However, take a tip from the Dust Bowl back during the Depression. There was no rain. There was no water anywhere. And what did the Okies do? They left. They couldn't grow anything. They couldn't cook anything. They couldn't drink anything. I mean, go look and see how many people died from a lack of water. Water is life, guys. We need it. Just what's going on in Texas right now will tell you everything you need to know about how critical it is. I mean, the folks down there, I mean, there's not a whole lot more down in the Lower Rio Grande Valley. You want to find a job? Chances are you're working on one of these fruit plantations, if you want to call it. No fruit trees, no jobs. No jobs, no people. And what happens? Mother Nature reclaims the area and turns it back into desert. Okay? It's a very arid area as is anyway. Think about that in your preps. Do you have water taken care of? Storing bottled water is not the solution. That is not going to, that'll get you by for a week, maybe two, and that's a lot of water. Like I said, 250 gallons will last a family of 4 10 days. Where are you going to go for resupply? Have you given thought to that? If you live in the city, what happens when they shut the water mains off? There ain't nothing. You could talk about all these kids that go, hey, we see these videos every summer in like New York or whatever, and they open up the fire hydrants. But if there's no water running, there's no water. Imagine the panic that will set in the cities, in the suburbs, when there is no more municipal water. What are those people going to do? They are going to go wherever there is water, which means in my case, they're going to be coming near a lake or something. You can survive 3 days without water. That's it. You look at all the things that are going on and all the leverage that is being used on us in regards to food, in regards to fuel. Water's the big equalizer. Obrador's got Biden over a barrel with this one, pardon the pun. Okay. If we don't have water, we don't have life. You need to remember that. Pinball out.